Okay, today I'm going to show you my key and door system using Unreal Engine 5 and Metasounds. Firstly, I'll just play the end result so you can see what I came up with in the end. So firstly, I began with the Reaper project where I created the assets that I wanted to include, such as the door being opened, the door being locked, the key being picked up, and the door being closed and shut. Inside of Unreal, I created a blueprint actor named Door that includes the door frame, and a box collision, which you can see just around the outside. I also created a blueprint actor called Key. In this, there is just a simple sphere representing the key, as well as a sphere collision, which you can see highlighted in red. In order for the player to be able to pick up the key, I have it set up so that when the player begins to overlap with the key sphere collision, it will then cast to the third person character. There I have a boolean set up called does player have keys. That is by default set to false, so that when you do not have the key, the door will not open. In this blueprint, when you begin to overlap with the key sphere collision, it will set it to true. It will then print a string saying key collected, and then it will play my key pickup meta sound at the location. Finally, it will then destroy the actor, making it disappear. In terms of actually moving the door to be open and then moving it again to be closed, I set up two different timelines. This first one is called door opening. In this I have a float track set up, and over the course of the length of 1 second it will move from the float value of 0 to 90. This is my door closing timeline. It is pretty much the same as door opening, only it starts at 90 and moves down to 0. Inside of my BP door event graph, I have the blueprint set up so that when the player begins to overlap with the box collision component, it will then cast to the third person character. There it will retrieve my does player have keys boolean. It then checks to see whether it is set to true or false. If it is set to true, it then begins my door opening timeline. This is what triggers the door to actually move visually to open. It then moves on to the do once part before playing my door opening meta sound at the location of the actor. If my boolean is set to false, it will simply play my door locked meta sound at the location of the actor before printing a string saying you need the key to unlock the door. In order to have the door close after it was opened, I have it set up so that after the door opening timeline has finished, it then triggers a slight delay before triggering my door closing timeline. On the door closing section, the door rotation float value is patched in the z-axis the same way as it is on the door opening section. It then goes to a compare floats node in where it checks at what value the door rotation is at. I have it set up so that if it's less than 10, that's when it will play my door shut meta sound. I had it set up like that just so it could play just as it was closing, not after it had closed, basically, just to get a bit more accurate, precise timing. The do once nodes that are placed just before the play sound at location nodes are there so that the sound is only triggered the one time, not every time the float value of the door rotation is updated. As you can see, the do once nodes are being reset as well. That way they will trigger every time just the once. Without that, it'll just trigger once, and then if I try to open the door again, the sound wouldn't play because it would only do it once. So this was how I was able to come up with my door and key system. If you have any faults or ways I could have done it a bit better, things I could add to it, please feel free to get in touch and let me know. I'm always trying to improve. Thanks.